Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Mongrel Radio, the Mexcellence political podcast. Joining me on...
We fucked it up. Everything's fucked up. Everything's ruined. I had a sweet, sweet intro for you.
You wrote one sentence that says, welcome to the podcast, and you're calling it a...
Right.
On today's podcast, we'll be facing off against the media. So originally we were going to do a part 2 where we were going to talk about the Derek Chauvin trial and everything that's going on. But
we need a palate cleanser for that.
Yeah. Tommy said that basically it's like, if we keep talking about every time the police shoot someone, we're never going to be...
It's a weekly fucking show that we'll never stop doing.
Pretty much.
10 times. Virginia person. Who gave him?
10 times. Today.
Who called him for help? This is...
Who? Yeah. Oh, you saw... Oh, so you read it. Yeah, he called the cops himself. The cops came. It was the cop who actually gave him a ride earlier that day, even. Got called back to his house, shot him 10 times. No one knows what happens. Cops aren't saying much. People who were there was like, it was very bizarre. It just, all of a sudden, shots fired, shot him 10 times. He's still alive. He's in ICU. I mean, but yeah.
I was just saying that, if you gave me that context originally without knowing that it was a black dude, white man, knowing that it was a cop and another person, if it was somebody you gave a read earlier, I'd be like, maybe the person who called the cop or called the person to come pick him up again was crazy, right? Because it doesn't make sense that you give someone a ride earlier in the day.
His car broke down.
Right, and his car broke down. So it doesn't make sense you give him a ride one time and then shoot him the other. But
yeah,
cops don't make no sense.
None of it does, yeah.
Derek Chauvin worked with George Floyd for years. And
True.
You're right.
I don't.
Security guards. So yeah, there you go.
I don't get it, nor am I going to try to get it anymore. I can't handle it.
But we're not here to talk about that exactly. I'm sure it's going to bleed into the topic.
It definitely does.
But I'm going to start off with just a simple question, and I'll actually direct it to you first, Sam. Where do you get your news from?
Well, I get my news from...
He don't read.
I don't read books. That's where you're wrong, TJ. I don't read books. Books are for suckers. Journals?
What?
Journals?
Pause. Motherfucker, really? Come on now. We need people to read, Sam. We don't need to be doing this to the youth, man. Read a book, people. Don't listen to Sammy.
Books are
this
for
is
suckers.
Not the man you want to listen to.
Books are for suckers. Audio books are king. No, Tommy. No, this is the thing. I don't read books in the sense that I don't like read nonfiction and stuff like that on my free time. I got too much going on elsewhere.
You have a lot to do.
But yes. I do enjoy, strangely enough, academic journals. Where it's like specific, like maybe like if it's like 30 pages or 40, 50 pages of a specific topic that interests me, I'll
just straight information.
Yeah, like anything on advertising, anything on like culture, media, advertising, things like that. Our topic, I fucking feast into it. So every so often I'll go down that.
With that. Because I was over here thinking you were dumb as shit. I'm like, don't read a book.
Tommy, it's called burying the lead.
No. Sometimes you don't need to do it.
Actually, that's the opposite of how journalism works. Journalism, you put it right at the front, and then details follow.
No, I lie. And then, which is how the media is doing it nowadays. We'll get to that. No, so I read a lot of newspapers actually, because I don't get the actual newspapers printed out anymore. Doesn't mean I don't get like the Facebook news articles where I'll read the New York Times, things like that. Whatever shows up that's reputable, nothing right wing at all. My daily recap comes from Philip DeFranco. He's pretty good. I've been listening to him for almost 15 years. Since 2006, really. He'll recap the news pretty well in a way that's a little more liberal, but at the same time, in some ways, too centrist for me. In certain ways, he's gotten a little bit further away from that. When I'm at home at my parents' house, they have on MSNBC. I'll catch some things there, and then we'll go from there. Other than that, just like I said, news articles on the internet from reputable sources, best I can.
All right, Tommy, where do you get your news from?
Well, see, usually I'm a BBC guy. Like BBC America is usually where I get my like trusted news.
You're a toddler, Sammy. You're a toddler.
We all thought it. We all thought it.
No, we didn't. I literally saw you, and that's what my browser. You're a toddler.
You were there. You were there right behind me, though.
Not that BBC. Listen.
You know how hard it was for me to say, I'm sure you are?
We got it out of the way. I knew it was coming. We got it out of the way.
No, because you said I like BBC.
This
No,
is
I like the
legitimately
BBC.
why I like to run this podcast with a girl. These jokes.
We would have avoided this whole thing.
Sammy had this shit-eating smirk on his face, dude. I was like, you're an ass.
That was for the audience, not for you, TJ. Anyway, go ahead, Tommy. I'm sorry, TJ interrupted you.
It's I try when I can think of it. I try to do do more international type of news than here, because outside looking in type of situation, you usually get a more clear view. Mm-hmm. But usually, if it's not that, it's just CNN. That's like my go-to. I mean, I may do MSNBC every now and again, but I'll tell you why later. I don't do it as much as some people do. Mm-hmm. So CNN, BBC, and any other kind of random, reputable, like international type of news source is usually where I get my news from. And I don't read.
All right. Last but not least, TJ, where do you get your news from?
If it's not work, because I cannot avoid anything because of work. Y'all didn't need to know where I work at. Just know that
it's news-centric.
I literally cannot avoid news, even if I wanted to.
Right.
That's unfortunate.
If I'm personally partaking in additional reading of sources and materials, and it's outside of the norm of, the MSNBCs or the CNNs, which I don't usually watch, I'm very much a big fan of The Economist. Usually a very neutral view that tries to approach everything from an international source. It's something that I've been reading and kind of been tuned in for a very long time. And if you look on the news paradigm, it's very neutral, or falls into a very more neutral camp. And so I think that is pretty good for consuming. In terms of trends and like kind of updates, I'm very much in tune with like to be honest, like Google just wakes me up with depressing shit every morning anyway, right? So like I wake up to like 5 different articles that can be from different places. But yeah, a lot of the times, like to be honest, a lot of my free time is spent not looking at the news because I don't really need to. I am very much in tune with what's going on in the world like half the time, whether I want to or not. But yeah, if I'm personally reading on the side, it's definitely The Economist. I think it's a great source. I don't think it's talked about a lot of times. I think they take a very objective view, a lot of calculative resources, technology, world politics, things of that nature. Outside of that, I do like to occasionally partake in, BBC UK. I think that branch is excellent. I know it's like, BBC UK, it's based out of it. No, but there are different branches and they have different forms of news. So
right.
BBC UK is pretty great. I'll also say that, and then I try my best to like read the local news source for like something that's happening, right? And so if it's like, if it's something like a shooting or something, or like a pipe busting or like a major, I'll try and read the local news source mainly because usually that's like kind of a person who is less likely to, a person who's writing that or reporting on that is less likely to have been, conditioned to whatever sort of source they're from. Like if you go to a CNN and they're putting on topic, you know what you're going to get, right? But if you go to a local news source, it can be hit or miss depending on where you're going. And so I kind of like to take that example. But yeah, various different sources, various different information, all to conduce the opinion I build.
And I was joking about not reading, by the way. Like, Economist is good. What I do, honestly, and I get people make fun of me for this. Fuck you, I don't care. Yahoo is like one of my main when it comes to like reading articles, because it's just an aggregator that you can actually edit, like, because they'll have Fox News stories pop up on there sometimes and you'll just slide it to the side. Yeah, show less Fox News.
Right.
And it'll, reshuffle and all that stuff. So I like, a good aggregator.
And you know what?
Very well.
And you know what? I'll go into Fox News. I would say once.
Oh, we're really going to go into Fox.
No. I'll go in there just to read the headlines, because I forgot to mention I do go to CNN and read the headline just to see what they think is important.
Right.
And then I'll go to Fox sometimes, maybe once every 4 months, quarterly, I would say. I go just see one day, just say, what are they talking about? Oh, someone didn't tie their shoe right? Tied. Okay, they're not reporting on anything important.
Nah.
The thing is that Fox News really isn't like, I did go before this to CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News, and they all had the same headlines, 80%. Right. The thing is that we've now passed because I didn't honestly know how to adjust this, make an itinerary for this topic, because when I was 10 or 15 trying to figure out what politics was or what the news was, it was just watch it on TV. Like Bill O'Reilly was probably one of the biggest names when it came to that. But even in this last thing, he wasn't a big Trump supporter. I mean, he liked things that Trump did, but it's just come to this weird thing where they're not the biggest. They're not the biggest games in town. Like, it's come to a point where if you're liberal, you have a million different sources, a million different things. If you're conservative, you don't have to worry about what Fox News is saying. You have to worry about what Breitbart, InfoWars, and Newsmax is saying.
Oh, and yeah.
That would actually go ahead. Oh no, I was gonna say, and that I can't believe I'm saying this. To Fox News's credit, right? If it's extending past politics, it's a little easier to digest because they're reporting on whatever's happening. Of course, if it's anything to do with the political tinge, that's when these websites start to matter more, right? Because it's real hard. Like, now, granted, the rhetoric behind the information can change based on where you're shooting from, right? Because it can be like the difference between a news place saying, "Oh, a person accidentally shot another person and ended up dying," versus another website saying, "Yo, a cop shot a person innocently," right?
Word.
But the context of it, or the information or the headlines and things of that nature, if it's less politically tinged, it has the more natural alignment of being very similar. And so, but you don't get that from, Newsmax, InfoWars, a lot of the conservative sites. And I don't like the super hyper mega liberal sites either. So it's a very
your TYTs, the Young Turks, yeah. They're the opposite end of the spectrum, yeah. The Humanist Report, to me, we've hit it was a point to where, even Fox News, back in the day, I would say maybe before or around the time Bush got elected, it was still somewhat news. Of course, they slanted more towards one direction, but they did it in a more subtle way. And I think after Obama, a lot of shit changed. A whole lot of shit changed. People may think it was Trump is when shit changed. No. Obama set that stage. No one wanted to see a black man in office naturally, and it kicked the hornet's nest is what it did.
Shit, Tommy, what are you talking about? Niggas wearing tan suits is bad.
How dare they? How dare they wear a tan suit?
You can't wear a tan suit.
You can't be
wear a fucking tan suit. That is not presidential, sir, to wear a tan suit.
You can't.
This nigga's wearing a tan suit? Fuck no. Breaking news. Motherfuckers wearing a tan suit.
They really did that.
They really did.
They really did that?
They lost their fucking mind.
And it was a couple days worth of it. It wasn't just one time. They harped on it.
That was a weekend store.
They said that a president can't be black and fly at the same time. That's just too many things.
No.
It's just too many things.
He's not that cool, guys. Stop. He's not cool. He wore a tan suit.
How disrespectful to the troops is it? The troops wear tan. How come he gets to wear tan? He never served in the military. I don't fucking
Hey, Sammy. He may hate America.
That's actually one of the biggest things that I've always seen against Obama and even Trump. And it's like you pass so many soldiers, and it's always like, and I've seen both sides play it, where it's like, oh, he didn't salute him that day or that moment. And it's like, bro, you literally walk past hundreds of soldiers all the fucking time.
Right.
They did that again, Marco, to Kamala Harris, by the way.
Yeah. I'm not even surprised.
That was a day-long story on Fox News how Kamala Harris didn't salute the troops on her way to Air Force 2. So yeah, I don't know, man. That is their bread and butter.
Am I supposed to salute Marco every time I see him? Like, nigga, thank you.
Yeah, no shit.
Right?
Look,
there you go.
No disrespect. Thank you. Of course, Marco is a friend of mine. I've never, and I respect everything he's done. I've never been like, hey, Marco, thank you for your service. Obviously, yes, thank you for that shit. I'm sure you hear it all the time. Do I have to? Every time? They get it. But in Fox News world, you do, apparently.
When you're on a military base, you even, as you approach, because you're supposed to salute officers all the time, as you, get ready to, they'll be like, stop. Just stop. I don't care. I'm on my way to get coffee. I don't care.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to catch a movie, dude.
It definitely depends on the setting, the scenario. Shit, if I'm having a bad day, man, I don't give a fuck what you doing, man. I ain't trying to salute nobody. I'm trying to fucking go get some shit.
It's a fucking job. God damn it. It's just the same as a janitor, a chef.
Well, it's not, but
no,
it's,
it's
an important job, but it's a job.
You sign up the same way. Nobody's getting drafted. Everyone makes the decision to go.
I mean, we can be at any time. You know how that goes.
No. I mean, I'm too. I mean, flat-footed. They might not want me.
I got bone spurs.
No,
I think you're all too old to get drafted. At least by the last 3 draft rules.
TJ and I are still eligible. I think it's 32 as of right now. Actually, no. They can take in military people up to age 33 or something. I think.
But usually it starts with smaller brackets, and by the time they get around to 32, you'll probably not be 32.
Fair enough.
I got asthma.
I got coronavirus. Bleh, bleh.
Oh God! But yeah, this is basically it's fake outrage. Obviously, they used to sprinkle the fake outrage. Now that is all they're about is fake.
That is outrage. Actually the second topic that I put in the itinerary, where it's just like, how do you get to the truth? How do you get to just being an informed person when the news just shoots you this outrage porn all the fucking time?
Constantly.
Can I?
Please.
Go for it.
So look, as we are all surrounded by uneducated, I'm kidding. No, seriously, it's always going to be a struggle. It's impossible to have something objectively placed in front of you. There's always going to be a tinge of bias, no matter what way, right? And I don't say it just in liberal and Republican. I also mean it, or liberal and conservative, Democratic or Republican. I also mean it in sense of economics, even from an economic perspective, right? Is the article portraying the disparities in a proper way that is conducive to poor individuals, or is an article displaying it to those who have more liquid income or more socioeconomic? Using big words.
No, use them. Use them.
Yeah, we're all smart.
I'm not saying that towards no.
We all went to college, TJ.
I'm saying the audience. Learn something. Read a book. I mean, don't. Never mind.
But
audio book. There you go.
The socioeconomic status, can even impact, that rhetoric, right? So it's all about knowing, first of all, being comfortable with reading sources that you don't normally align with, or that you are more neutral than the opinion that you're viewing, so you can have a kind of multitude facet outlook, right? You don't get upset when you read something that's different from what you believe in. You're like, cool, now I have that perspective and I can make the justification of like, hey, I read both sides and that's wrong. I take the COVID vaccine, for example, right? Where you can read, like, you should still be reading the negative things that are about that just as much as you're reading the positive information that's there, just so you can make sure that whatever decision or information you have, you're not getting caught off blindsided. Right. So one
recommendation I have for people, and nobody does it. No one does it. If I told you to do it, you probably wouldn't do it. Look at both. Go to MSNBC, see what they say about this subject.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Fox News, see what they say about this subject. In between those two, you will find the fucking truth. Basically,
that's true most of the time. But here's this is from an old school project, but it's one of the classic things that I always pulled out, where it's like you have the Huffington Post saying this thing, you have Breitbart saying another thing. Have you watched that? Did anybody watch this altercation? Did anybody remember the small altercation in 2018?
No.
Nothing happens.
Of course.
Like Ellen Page asks a question and Ted Cruz is like, I'm making hot dogs. I can't talk right now. Like nothing happens one way or the other.
Right. Yeah. And that's where my expertise comes in, because you guys are able to flaunt your degrees because they matter in real life, where media is what I studied, and it matters in real life, but very specifically. So my background with understanding what the news media is knowing the history of what it was, which was sensationalist bullshit, all of it. Yellow journalism is my favorite thing to look up, and it's an old-timey phrase. You've probably heard it at a certain point because it's starting to come around again, but essentially we're just going to make stuff up because we need to sell these magazines, and we're going to sell them cheap, and we're going to sell them often, and then that's around that era where if it bleeds, it leads comes in. If you look at one of my favorite photographers, his name is Ouija. I'm going to look him up over here. That motherfucker was a guy who – have you seen the movie Nightcrawler?
Yes.
He was essentially that guy, but for real in the 40s? I forget what era he was in.
What would Lou do?
So essentially all he would do is he would follow the police, and he would, let me pull the history. He'd just follow where like tragedies happened, and he would just like go to random places. And I guess they're showing him like this guy I think was about to get shot or was getting shot. And yeah, there we go. There's a guy I think he's getting attacked. Real hardcore grimy stuff. And I really love his work. And I kept him in mind when I started studying film and media because this guy essentially exemplified what media is and what always will be, and it's a form of entertainment. So when you're reading something,
it's gossip.
When you're reading something from anywhere, it has to be entertaining or else no one will read it. So when you look at those headlines, you know, Ted Cruz slams Ellen Page tells him to shut the fuck up. It's entertainment, and you have to know that. And I have that embedded in my soul, but a lot of people don't. And that's fine because you didn't go to college for it and waste all that money. But the idea is if you know, like, I don't look at both sides. I'm going to be honest with you, because right wing, all of it, Fox News and lower, none of it's true. If you look at it objectively, if you look at it from like where your heart of hearts is, there a lot of times, I would say a majority of the times, a majority enough for me to not even consider it, they're lying or they're misinterpreting or they're misrepresenting whatever they're given. So why would I waste my time even dealing with that? What do you even...
So you subscribe to Ben Shapiro's point of view that it's like there's no such thing as unbiased media. So it's choosing the people, you choose certain media heads to tell you the truth.
Right. And even then, you could go between different forms of media. You could even go center. Like I think The Economist, as you mentioned, TJ, is more center when you look at the little charts that they have of the graphs.
Yeah, I have the media bias chart. That comes up later. Yeah. But yes.
Yeah, so they're in the middle. That's fine. Something's playing. Anyway.
Sorry, I had a news article pulled up.
It's good. So, why bother with, it's like reading a biography versus reading about a fucking fairy tale and trying to write a book report about something of historical importance. It's like, I'm not going to read fucking Grimm's fairy tales because they're on about some weird shit. And it might have a point. There might be something in the metaphor that makes sense to them, but there's nothing in real life that can ground us to these things that are called facts that we can enjoy and interpret as the truth.
But that's not, Sammy, but I don't want to like ever come from a point where we're going to disparage 40% of the country because it's like, yeah, there are bad
it's like half
people.
The country.
Yeah, there are bad people on both sides, but like there's conservatives that just care about the deficit, about gun rights,
but they don't vote for those things specifically. They'll vote and include the evil shit. If they want fiscal conservatism, that's fine. If there was a fiscal conservative that wasn't hateful and awful. But there's not anymore. It
always seems to be tied
There's
together.
not anymore. And you can't tell me there's not anymore. It's getting worse. And until it doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
When you hear things from their point of view, it's like, can we get a liberal politician that's not a slime ball?
No,
when you have things like Biden and Nancy Pelosi, it's like they're kind of right too.
Right, as in right leaning, correct.
Corrupted.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Because
yeah, they are. It's true. But look, the thing, we are at a point. You get the way we're describing this. We can't even really look fucking 4 years ago or 5 years ago. It's way different now. Now is the issue because now shit is going so far left or so far fucking right that it's insanity. Like the Derek Chauvin thing is a perfect fucking example. Look how MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News covered that verdict. Different. MSNBC and CNN pretty much the same page. Tucker Carlson lost his fucking shit. But he lost it. Because God forbid that a policeman who killed a black guy goes free. To the left, Tucker Carlson's world, sir.
No, but to the left's uncredit, because that was disgusting what they did. They had like the cameras inside their home, like the goddamn NFL draft with the verdict. Did you see that shit?
I did not.
Oh, so the family was there waiting for the verdict, and they had like the camera, like the NFL draft, where the kid's like waiting on the couch, like nervous. And then he gets the call and everyone huddles around. It was that, but for the verdict with his family.
Jesus Christ.
And I couldn't watch the video because it was like...
That's exploitation.
Yeah, it's exploitation. But the thing is, it's entertainment. People want to watch it. And so the right at this point is a goddamn fictional movie.
Oh,
And
that's
then
they're in a whole different world
and
right
the left is more like interpretive dance of what the truth is, and then you got to use other sources to support that interpretive dance. You really do.
Look, man, the thing about it is, even when you look at an MSNBC or a CNN, you assume, oh shit, like they're the liberal one, so they're going to give me the liberal outlook. Even still, like that shit was exploited. It was totally exploitative, completely.
Right.
The thing, you know what CNN and MSNBC reminds me of? This is a perfect analogy for me, at least. TJ may agree, he may not. The parents from Get Out. That's what they remind me of. To where they'll promote being this liberal, open-minded, this, that, and the other. Look up some shit on CNN. CNN has fucked up many a good fucking time with shit. Where you would think it was fucking Fox News. Like
that's the thing between a fake liberal or an actual leftist or whatever, people that actually care about it. The moment like a protest starts getting weight behind it, like Occupy Wall Street or Black Lives Matter, the language changes it. They stop covering it as these are people that are doing things for these rights. No, it'll quickly become like, look at all and it's probably to Sam's credit, if it bleeds, it leads. Look at them destroying Walgreens. Look at these monsters destroying cars or whatever it is. Like the language shifts,
right?
Like at a certain point.
I do think that. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna save this for when we have the what is it? News site.
The alignment
the
chart?
media bias chart.
Yeah, media bias.
I mean, we can bring that in right now, just as a palate cleanser with things getting a little heated. But yeah,
no heat.
This gets updated every year. I usually go to AP and Reuters just because of this website.
Can you zoom that in just a little bit more? Because I want to see like what the very bottom. It says contains inaccurate what info? Shift plus. Or control plus or function plus or alt plus.
Doesn't work.
Oh, you can just use your keyboard your pad to zoom in on it.
He has a desktop. Oh, there he goes.
Oh, okay, well, there you go.
And then close that ad because I can't see how. All right, here we go. So most extreme right, most extreme left. Okay. Original fact reporting. So Associated Press, Reuters. Thank you for the bits here. I can't see who that was. People finance.
I didn't know
they got all of them.
Yeah, I didn't know Newsy was actually this fact based.
Yeah, so honestly. NPR, ABC, NBC News, which you're seeing here on this chart.
Pretty good. Yeah, I thought Newsy was full of shit too, and then I was like, oh no, they're actually pretty good.
So these are original reports. The Hill, Wall Street Journal, for those who are listening on audio, BBC, of course. These are all kind of in the center of the bell curve here. Once you start going left, you're still in the fact-based, pretty factual MSNBC, Atlantic, Vox, and then you start going on the lower end of
start drifting into the abyss
of the left, the left end of the bell curve, which would be the liberal MSNBC TV.
Holy shit,
Jezebel, Palmer Report, bipartisan Occupy Democrats is going to be selective, incomplete, unfair persuasion on the left. You swing to the why did I say swing? Swing to the right. Go up a little bit, Marcos. Like go to the
really
factual.
American over there too.
So like
Sputnik's on here too. They weren't on last year's.
So like Wall Street Journal.
I don't see the Young Turks on there. Where are they?
They'll probably be.
I feel like they would be a little bit farther.
Right. So
they probably aren't on here anymore. I do like that it breaks it down like CNN TV and CNN
written,
web.
Yeah.
I like how on mine, because I pulled it up, the Weather Channel is slightly skewed left, so you can't weather no more.
They're a little more optimistic.
Can't trust them, teacher.
But I'm talking about reputable sources that are kind of skewing right. Wall Street Journal today. New York Post is in analysis of high variation, but that's one that's familiar with most people. Examiner, most people are familiar with. And then you start getting into, as you guys know, Fox News Web, Breitbart is on the high variation of reliability. OAN, which is selective. Newsmax, PragerU, which is awful. I've read some of it. InfoWars being at the bottom of the barrel.
Where it belongs.
Right. And we're talking about misleading information, right?
InfoWars is down there with National Enquirer.
I have no idea what big league politics is.
I feel like you don't need to, Marco. I feel like anything under this red line, we can completely ignore.
Right. And so InfoWars is a half a step above contains fabricated info. So you kind of see where even the worst of the left is fucked up still and lying, but they're not fabricating anything. Just they're not making fairy tales out of it, right?
That's spinning. That's all they're doing is spinning. Up to that point, they spin. But when you spin, Sammy, you can spin like a motherfucker.
Right.
One thing Fox News does, if you notice the headlines, the little thing at the bottom, whatever the headline is, they've started to put question marks behind everything.
Right.
Especially with like Joe Biden. So if you haven't been following Fox News in the past week, which I'm sure you haven't, God bless you. But if you haven't, they've been doing a whole thing. Their whole theme has not been police brutality, obviously. They don't give a fuck about that. Joe Biden, someone is controlling Joe Biden because he is not able to be president. He doesn't tweet. You rarely see him. He doesn't talk shit about Roseanne. So we don't know what the fuck. Like, this isn't normal behavior. What? Who's controlling Joe Biden? That's the question.
Right.
And so the headline will read, is Joe Biden really capable of being president?
Well, yeah, question mark.
And they'll do that all fucking day in different variations.
Is Joe Biden a punk-ass bitch? Like, they'll say the most awful thing if they frame it in a question. You know, it's just like, it's one of those things because as more people are getting sued by different companies saying like, "Oh, you're lying, Fox News." Tucker Carlson, what's the guy, Alex Jones?
We don't get that motherfucker in his whole segment. Yeah.
No, but you're talking about those guys, and they're being it's like, "Hey, you're lying. We're suing you," and they're like, "No, this is an entertainment show. It's a character I'm playing." They have to do those question mark type things, or else they could be sued for was it libel if it's written or press? Or slander, either way.
Any loophole you can think of, that's what they use it. Fox News does. So yeah.
Right.
So Dominion is hardcore suing everyone that said the election was stolen or the election was a lie. And they started from the bottom up, and that is one thing that's fun to watch.
Right. Actually, Thomas wrote VA. It becomes opinion and not fact, and when it's opinion, you can't be charged as much.
Can't be sued. Yeah.
Yeah. Opinions are not facts, so you can kind of skirt it there, but yeah, that's a good thing to notice, Tom. It's a little homework for you guys watching out there. Look how many question marks there are in your subject line, in your bug at the bottom. And
it's a great way to look at it, yeah.
And see, I forgot what the lower thirds are called. And I don't think they're called bugs. I forgot. Anyway.
I want to point out that, one thing that this media bias chart does also paint out in general is there's so much news sources and things that you can look into that there's no excuse. Even if you don't vibe with one particular source, to not
be informed. Yeah.
To not be informed, to not be looking at the opposite side as well. Literally, you can filter it to flip, like to even condense down the bias. Like I said, if you look at The Economist, like very neutral. That's why I
didn't mention AP and Reuters because I do look at those too. Honest to God, when I see AP on it or I see Reuters, I'm like, okay, this is exact. Like it's no bias really in this shit.
No, actually,
a robot wrote this.
The only truly neutral, 100% reliable, like the best news source is still TMZ. But before after that, I'm kidding.
For deaths, absolutely. TMZ is it.
TMZ says someone's dead, you're dead.
They're fucking dead. Yeah, it's no ifs, ands, or buts.
TMZ said, I'm dead, dog, and I'm still alive. Nah, nigga, somebody's coming here to shoot me.
You're a ghost, motherfucker. That's what you.
TMZ does not mess around.
They killed Michael Jackson.
TMZ knows you're dead before you know you're dead.
Right.
There's so many legitimate news sources out there that you should not ever be uninformed and or should not understand the opinions of the other side, whether you accept them. That's the problem, right?
DJ, you segued into something I wanted to bring up, which is pretty much our responsibility of this. We have to take responsibility for media being as fucked up as it is, because we go to the shit we want to hear. When a story pops up, I don't want to see Fox News' take on it. No. If it's something I truly feel passionate about, like a black person being killed, I'm guilty of this shit myself. I'll bypass CNN. What does MSNBC have to say about this shit? Right. Like, I will go to the most liberal of sources because I can't handle hearing what the fuck Fox News has to say about this. It's too sensitive for me to go there and hear that bullshit, because I know I'm going to get angry when I hear their version of it. CNN, I may agree, I may not. I don't even want to risk it. Fuck that. No, I need to know what happened, but I want to hear it in a way to where I'm not going to get angry. That's what hooks it. That's why we are where we are. We want news to where we don't get upset. That's not what the fuck news is. News will upset you. Facts are upsetting. When it's just bare bone fact, it's upsetting as fuck.
Life is upsetting.
Life is upsetting. And we always want something to just cushion that blow. That's why we are in the place that we are. Because we have places like Fox News and MSNBC that have a fucking pillow waiting on you for whatever you believe. We're going to tell you our version of that, so you're okay.
But Tommy, that brings it back to my source of problems with a lot of things in the world. We're all snowflakes nowadays.
Shut up. Shut up.
He's right. He's absolutely right, Sammy.
No.
We are.
No.
We're bitches.
No.
Everybody's a bitch because we can't handle shit. We are sensitive as fuck, and we need to stop that shit.
How is that different?
Back in the day,
How is that different than what other people were? Here's the thing.
What do you mean?
Everyone's been soft all the time. Everyone's been soft since the beginning. I want to go there, though, real quick. I want to go there real quick because I want to bring up something that's back to what your point was. Everybody's been soft all the time. It's just that as you get older, you could say that it wasn't as bad as we get older. It's an endless loop. We're all fucking soft. Old people couldn't have black people fucking sipping at their water fountains. People talk about us with trigger warnings. Parental advisory suggested. Was it? There's been that. What's like older version of it? What was it? I was trying to make a point and I lost the point.
There's a million of them. Yeah.
Right, where it's like sensitive audiences go away. Those have been around forever. Trigger warnings have been around forever. It's all a cycle. I want to bring up something though to that quote unquote insensitivity or whatever, because here's the thing. I think we're less sensitive even now, and this is another part I want to bring up about the media, which we talk about the objectivity of it. The left paints a narrative, the right paints a narrative. So what's the actual thing? Well, everybody's got one of these high definition 1080p 60 frames a second on our cell phone cameras. So now we have the opportunity to watch in high resolution the news happening. It could be a person getting shot. It could be a camera. It could be an explosion going off from some fireworks in downtown LA. It can be
the whole city exploding.
Right. It can be like Beirut exploding because of that. What was that? Or I'm sorry, was it Tel Aviv where the ship exploded? I forget.
That was Beirut.
Was that Beirut? Yeah. We can watch it. Not either through surveillance, our own surveillance, or cop cams, dash cams, or even body cams. So we see more of the violence than any other generation before. Now, we talk about people being soft. Vietnam, they started showing footage of the troops all fucked up, and we're like, we need to get the fuck out of there because people couldn't stand to see our troops murdering children and fucking everything up. So now we're in an age where everything's Vietnam. The war in Iraq was high definition video every day, every night we saw it as middle schoolers, high schoolers. Now we're watching black people get killed every fucking day on the internet. A little Mexican kid could get shot.
They don't hide away from it anymore.
Right,
yeah.
no.
They'll show you
it's there.
People getting killed.
It's there now.
Look, you said,
so
okay,
what do you say about that?
We're more, we can handle shit. No, Sammy, we're getting numb to that shit, to seeing it, to that. We're getting numb to it. I hate that they show all that. I think they should save that. I don't think they should do that on every single case.
But isn't it objective?
Because we're going to get numb as fuck to it.
But isn't it objective? And I wonder if that's what people... That's what I'm worried about, right? It is objective because we get to see what happens. It's there on the frames, right? It's there in the image. So at what point... And you're right. It is, I think, unhealthy for us to be consuming those images on a daily, nightly basis. But I want to know your guys' opinion on how we move forward relying on self footage that we've recorded ourselves as the news and how it relates to violence and all that kind of stuff, because it is a new part of the media.
Right now,
everyone has TV quality cameras in their pocket.
True. And, look, it's important for society to record this shit. They need to always do that. As far as media goes with that video, whatever the case, whichever black person getting killed this day that's on video, clear as day, seeing it, it doesn't fucking matter now, Sammy. Like I said, now is different. Right now, today is different as fuck. There were fucking thousands of people who ransacked and rioted and had an insurrection at our goddamn Capitol.
Right.
You know how Fox News is spinning that shit? They were just angry people. They're not that bad. That's how they're spinning it.
Or they're not even not even Republicans. They're was it Antifa going in pretending? No, but
they will say whatever.
But those are fairy tales. That's why I don't listen to them. But go ahead, proceed.
It doesn't. No, Sammy. Look, you say it's fairy tales. Those motherfuckers telling that fairy tale are telling it to 50 million people. 50 million people who believe every goddamn word they say.
Right.
They are starting at this point, Sammy, with the video. We are starting to see some shit to where they are telling you not to believe your eyes.
Right.
That's what media is doing right now. Don't believe this shit. Like I said, going back to that bitch Tucker Carlson. Okay. Look.
By the way, time out. Just to slow you down a little bit, I do want to recognize that anytime we mention Tucker Carlson, we need to address him as that bitch Tucker Carlson. Rule of Mexcellence.
Oh, absolutely.
Mexcellence
that
rule
is a
number
new
5.
Rule on the Mexcellence.
Mongrel Radio rule number 1. Tucker Carlson shall always be introduced as that bitch Tucker Carlson.
Yes. It's voted in. That bitch Tucker Carlson lost his shit because, and that hoe Greg, was it Gelfeld? I don't know his name. Whatever. He's a Fox News guy. That motherfucker also sitting up here talking about he didn't believe he was guilty on all charges. But hey, look, he got found guilty. Good, he got found guilty, so these niggas won't go raging. That's basically what he said. He didn't say niggas. Everything I said minus the word niggas is what he said.
He really wanted to.
Wanted to, Sammy.
He really wanted
that motherfucker, his head would have exploded. Yeah, he wants to say nigga very badly. You can tell. Probably everybody on Fox News wants to say it. But the point being, these are people telling 50 million people, hey, that video you saw, that video that at the moment that you saw hurt your heart. You saw a man dying for 9 minutes, crying for his mother, knowing he was about to fucking die. You felt something then. But now, a year later, you don't feel that shit. We're going to spin it. We've had a year to spin that shit around to where now you don't give a fuck that you want this cop who killed him to go free because we made you think that shit. That's where we are, and that's what the fuck media does. Bad media like fucking Fox News, that bitch, Tucker Carlson.
I cannot get crunk like him.
I'm sorry. It riles me up, TJ. You're the calm black guy. I'm the angry one. That's how dynamic. That's how we're going to do this.
I get angry. I just I don't have the energy for it because I mean,
it fires me up.
Like the thing is, right? It is, and the reason why I don't want to steal anything from my opinions on social media because apparently that's a topic. So, but this all kind of bleeds together in terms of exposure to media and the way people want to spin the narratives, right? It's almost like it's the same thing with cancel culture because I have issues there, right? We've talked about this before,
right?
Where whatever rhetoric you want to drive, you're going to drive it no matter what you want to do, right? It don't matter who's going to tell you it. No matter who's going to tell you which way is right or wrong, left or right, up or down, sideways or whatnot, right? But I do think that, like you're saying, Tommy, right? I think the isolation and the important fact is what people forget and why desensitization to plenty issues is worrisome is because that feeling when you first read the instance of a news, that fleeting feeling, no matter how quick, no matter how long, no matter what you are, when you're watching the video, when you're listening, like that's what's important when you encapsulate out of the news. And we should be carrying that in terms of how it's being like, because that feeling is genuine, right? If something bad's happening. Now, if you see a black person getting shot and you're happy about it, hey, cool, you're racist.
You're evil as fuck and racist, but yeah, go for it. That's you.
But that's your feeling, right?
Right.
And the problem is, and it's let's kind of lighten it up a little bit, right? It's the same reason why I don't like people who like to read or watch a bunch of movie reviews before they watch a movie, because no matter what you do, it is going to impact your opinion. No matter how you're human. You're going to go in with an inkling of knowledge and an inkling of perspective that you didn't have before. Therefore, you're going to inevitably, that experience is kind of robbed from you. Now, is that always a bad thing? No. Do I watch movie reviews sometimes before going to a movie? Hell yeah. Like, we're human. But I can't act as though that doesn't steer my narrative whenever I'm going to, partake in that information. It's the same reason how videos and sort of things in news operate as well. If you're the first exposure to the news is already a biased opinion, then that is going to steer your narrative when you're going into the news, no matter who you are. Now, how that is receptive or responded depends on the person, right? Now, if a Republican person was writing a bunch of stuff about the shooting that happens, and you're very, very liberal, you might not agree with what they're saying, but the opinion that's been steered is now you're angry. Now it doesn't matter what's in that thing. You're going to be like, oh, they're wrong. Like whatever they're saying, it's probably wrong. So that's how you're going to go into it. You're not going to go completely neutral. And that's the toughest part about news, right? Because a lot of the times, and it's impossible to eliminate the social media aspects from said news, because a lot of the times when you look into something, you're not naturally only going to look into it because it just popped up on your feed. There's enough shootings of black people to where I have to actively search that shit out, or someone has to tell me about said thing.
They start to overlap each other.
They start to overlap. And so when it comes to boiling down where the truth is, I would rather people, no matter what source of information they're going to, my ultimate real getting closer and closer to the truth, trying to eliminate biasm, is just reading the news from the source before you start to get told up, tacked up, and flipped up, switched some upside down some ways by other people.
You know what the purest news is, TJ, when some shit pops off and it ain't even done yet. Like, of course, because it's a fucking shooting literally every day, too. It's either a mass shooting or a goddamn black person being gunned down by the cops. Pick one. You're going to probably get it tomorrow, I guarantee you. The thing is, when you first get it, all they give you is straight facts. They don't know how to spin it yet. They have no idea how to spin it yet because it just happened. It's happening as we speak. You're right. So, yeah, get your news first. Fresh out the cow's teeth. Just right there.
There's
that
an
would be at
issue
its
with
purest
that
form.
as well, though.
Oh, fuck, it probably is.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, no.
I was just saying, and this was one of the reasons why I have the opposite approach, and I think TJ doesn't get it fresh off the teeth either, exactly. But it's just one of those things where a lot of news is catching up with Twitter, because Twitter is there to report that there's a shooting, that
they're
whatever
not the first ones that report shit. Yeah,
exactly. And so you might not get the full story. I really don't know that Nick Overman maybe was the name of the kid that just wore the MAGA hat, and then they made a big deal about him with the Indian.
Yeah,
nothing happens.
Actually, I think he sued and got money or some shit.
Yeah, he sued because the media made him look one way, but he just stood there. The dude with the Indian drums just came up to him and played. But is it right that the Native American dude did anything wrong? No, he just did a mild protest of playing his drum in front of him. Then the other white kid didn't do anything either. But social media turned that into a thing that was on the news for 3 weeks.
Whoa, hey, no social media touching. We haven't talked about Twitter.
That's a whole nother subject.
It turned into a thing that Fox News had on their thing.
Real quick, speaking of social media, because it really is hard to do this subject and not touch on social media.
You can touch on it, just understand.
Can this be our next one for next week's show? I want to touch on.
It'll be this or cancel culture.
I want to do QAnon so bad.
Tommy wants to talk about the fairy tales.
I want to talk about the crazy.
I want to talk about social media and cancel culture. I love that.
Psycho cult. I would love to talk about the psycho cult. But yeah, no, that all has to play in it because some people don't even look at media. Some people don't even look at CNN, Fox News, even Newsmax. They get their shit from Facebook and Twitter.
Which you should never do.
Do it at all.
Right. We're going to make a website called newsteat.org, and we're going to put up whatever news that we want, and it's going to be Mexcellence based. And I'm just going to make up lies. I'm just going to lie to everyone.
You're joking right now. Literally, go copyright that.
Newsteat.
Newsteat.
Let me go see.
I would get my news from something called Newsteat.
Hold on. What's the GoDaddy? There we go. Hold on. Well, someone's going to buy it as we're on air.
I know, right?
Let's see. Hold on.
You motherfuckers.
Thanks, Thomas Earl, for stopping by. Get a lot of things to say.
Tommy.
Oh, did he?
Tommy.
Yes.
Wait, where'd he go? Not
Sammy?
you. Not you.
Sammy?
Not you. News Teat, $1 for the month.
Goddamn right, you get that shit, Sammy.
Newsteat.com. I'm not buying that. I'm not.
Oh,
you
shit,
buy it.
I might buy it myself.
It's $12. It's $12.
I'm buying it tonight.
Newsteat.com.
I'm buying newsteat.com tonight.
And we're just gonna and you know, but that's also another thing to mention. Marcos, how many more topics do you have, by the way, just for timing purposes?
No, I'm watching it. We are actually on our last thing. We keep moving in it organically, by the way.
Well, I just want to hit our break real quick. But before we get there, that's the other thing. Before we go on our commercial break, because we're adding commercial breaks. Sorry, folks. Sorry, Zuzu. He hates them. He's like, fuck commercial breaks. I hate commercials. No, but it's also scary because I joke about newsteat.com, but like, that's the other forbidden nonsense that we don't talk about, which is, OAN is a known conglomerate media company that is trying to push an agenda. Then there's people that are just trying to farm clicks. So it can be newsteat.org. It can be boobsnews.url.html, and they'll be like, black people get vaccinated at 0% the rate of white Americans because fuck them. And they'll say some outlandish shit because it gets clicks. And that's even worse than all of them. And there's so much of that going on in the world. How do you even begin to stop that? Just the liars.
It's not going to get better.
Right.
Like, it's going to get worse. So it's like, you can't.
Because, I mean,
it's just going to spiral out of control even more.
I'm not saying I respect it. I'm not saying that I even give a shit about them. But at least, like, OAN, they're like, I have an agenda to push. It's an evil agenda. But then there's other people that are like, I just want clicks. So I'll just say the most outlandish, blatant nonsense, which is coming to you from newsteat.com. I feel like InfoWars is that. Yes, right.
Oh, most definitely.
But even then, they have an agenda to push, which is balms and
their agenda
testosterone.
Switches, though, because they were almost in the liberal camp in 2002 when they made documentaries like Loose Change, which is about a 9/11 truther thing,
right?
And then now they're doing documentaries about did Donald Trump really lose the election and so on and so forth. Like they switched at a certain point.
Right.
And I feel like Donald Trump is probably the reason No, Obama is actually probably the reason they switched.
Don't get it twisted, Marco. Don't get it twisted, my friend. Everybody says Donald.
And now
Donald Trump was a product of Obama. We wouldn't have had a fucking President Trump if it wasn't for Obama.
Right.
That was the counteract.
And now the frogs are gay. Now the frogs are gay.
Or trans. God forbid.
Now we go to our commercial break.
Hell yeah, we go to our commercial break. I worked hard on these commercials. We'll be right back after this. We'll take a quick break before we get to our final topic. See you guys in a moment.
Hey guys, did that make you want to buy some merchandise? Maybe from mexmerch.com?
The audio listeners have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. So it's like, we're going to take a commercial break. So you guys want to buy stuff? Hi, audio listeners. Thank you for listening and subscribing where you guys are at. But now
just in case the audio listeners did want to buy stuff, what's a good website?
Oh my God, mexmerch.com. It's completed. It's awesome. And I feel bad because the video listeners got a 10% off discount if they watch the commercial and watch the pre-show. So, Tommy, I think we just came up with our new discount code. Let me write it down. So this will be for the audio listeners only. So if you listen on audio...
Pause. Hold up.
What?
Don't give those audio listeners only their own special discount code. If they want that discount, they come and watch some of our visual stuff.
I was going to give them only 5%.
Nope. I don't want to give them nothing.
You know what, TJ? Overridden.
No,
overridden.
TJ, now I know. I get where TJ's coming from.
No, you know what? Because I'm a generous God. 5% discount. Type in the discount code NEWSTEAT. That's NEWS.
I bought it right now. I literally just bought it.
I just want to have discount code NEWSTEAT. NEWSTEAT. It's good for the week after this. If you're late on it, if it doesn't work, that means you missed it. It'll be available Sunday the 25th. 5% off your whole entire Mexmerch order. Mexmerch.com. Go ahead and get yourself something nice. NEWSTEAT.
If you need a reminder on Sunday, just tune in for our review of Falcon and Mortal Kombat.
There you go.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. Give Bucky his credit, please.
Y'all don't really want to hear my I've been so quiet in that chat. Y'all don't really want to hear my opinions.
You were very quiet in that chat, which made me very nervous.
I mean, hey, look.
Because we all feel some kind of way here.
All I'm saying was I said this shit from the get-go.
What are you talking about? Falcon or Winter Soldier or Mortal Kombat?
Mortal Kombat.
Oh, well, we'll talk about that
shit. We'll talk about that later.
But anywho, let's get back to the topic at hand, which is how shitty the media is in 2021.
I'm going to wrap up in positives, right? So, Marco, hopefully you're wrapping us up in a positive.
Well, it's not exactly a positive, but it is a hopeful. And it kind of ties what you were talking about and what Sam was talking about. Sam talks about, he brought up something about like we're desensitized and we're tougher than everybody else. He's missing one key factor that it was like, it was really common about your grandpa's age, about 80 years ago, to be like, hey, we're going to round up the local black person and drag him through the street. You're missing like
not that long ago.
Yeah.
That was yesterday.
Like that. Yeah. You're missing out that violence used to be the spectacle. Like even before that, it's like, all right, somebody stole the cattle. Like we're going to go to the public execution this weekend. They're going to and buy some merchandise from that.
Right. But the thing is that it still bleeds in every so often.
No, it does.
Right.
But
because
it's just the overall thing that we're not as tough as we think we are, but we're just programmed for violence. And if you want to,
know what it is.
Hold on, let me defend myself just a little bit, Tommy, real quick, because it's less about.
First of all, this isn't an argument. It's just an idea difference.
Right. And I want to explain my idea a little bit further, because it's not that I'm saying that we're more tough than the others or any generation's tougher than the other. We all have our unique form of cruelty when it comes to, and it relates to media, because back then you'd have people, let's say Emmett Till, you know what happened there. Everyone knows what happened there. But in our thing is mass shootings. I mean, yeah, we're not lynching people from the streets, but you go every 3 days, like 2 days, and we'll murder 4 or 5 people at a FedEx place, at a church, at a Bible group, at a hotel room, at whatever. We are still just as violent. We just don't get the T-shirts for it, like you mentioned. We're not doing it at the stocks.
You know what we have to just fucking acknowledge? Everybody here, Americans are a fucked up different breed. We are. Right. I'm sorry.
No.
We are.
So that's the whole thing.
In
y'all are.
Look, it's either Switzerland or Sweden, one of the two. I apologize that I don't know which one. But they have Switzerland. They have open gun laws like crazy, motherfuckers.
But they don't have ammo. That's the difference.
True. Sometimes they do. They have the thing is, they have a gun festival like every year where kids have fucking guns. They do have ammo there.
Right.
But they have such a society and laws and common sense shit. Basically, that's it. They have common sense laws, and they themselves in their society just have a common sense society where they have no issues with that. It's fine. Yeah, like, of course we're not going to just go shooting fucking people. Obviously, we're not American. Of course not.
Right.
We don't have that shit because we're fucked up, because this is America. And you need to acknowledge how fucked up we are.
And
we are fucked up.
And
if there's one country that probably doesn't need that, it's probably us.
And I would say that a lot of, at least more modern gun agency, I guess you would call it, people wanting more guns and having access and whatnot, comes from, just tying it back to the media's narrative, the media narratives that we can just make up and lie about. The caravans of Mexicans, the caravans from the South.
Let's just say what it is, Sammy.
No, right. No, but the people like, I gotta defend my funnier one.
That's what it
defend the 40 hogs attacking my homestead, right? You remember that one? That shit cracks me up. But the idea is you can create a narrative that I must protect my homestead. You can romanticize a lot of things about what America used to be, and that is where we're at now in the media in regards to us rewriting history. I mean, Tommy, you talk about spin, spin is spin. In a year's time, like you said, you can desensitize a man getting murdered for 9 minutes into he deserved it. He's an unhealthy guy with a heart condition, resisting arrest, and was on drugs and fraudulent paperwork, monies or whatever. In a year's time, you could do that. Now, imagine what you could do with the 50 years, 100 years. Reagan is still considered a god amongst the conservative party, and he was a fucking monster. We all know that. Yeah. People with sense do anyway. Fuck you, because fuck Reagan. Anyway, but the idea is the media now can hammer that history, and they can create narratives that say, you know, guns are a part of what we are. When
It's in the Constitution, Sam.
When you all as Texans, that is a part of your bloodline essentially. And I'm not saying it to be joking. I'm saying that
everybody has a gun. Goddamn it!
I thought it was a joke, but at the very least, either you have a gun or are relatively okay and comfortable with it. Where me, the only guns in California that you really see are with gang members and stuff like that. The gang identity is what the people who have guns, and then you have your hunters, and then the type of Texas style gun owners where like, I want to defend my property and shoot Mexicans. So that said, we don't have that same narrative.
I have a gun. I don't want to shoot Mexicans.
Right, but you're former military.
Because you are one, Marco. Of course you don't.
But you're former military. You like guns.
We trust you with a gun,
but you're Texan. You think guns are okay? You think guns are fun? You think a responsible gun owner is great? You don't think you should have any real restrictions on them, to my understanding. Basic ones.
To be fair, Marco being a former soldier, you don't care. We do need to make that a subject.
It's a different one. But the point I'm making is
the spin on being allowed to have them. Yeah,
right. Is the idea that the narrative I got was guns. I wasn't allowed to have a gun. My dad made me very anti-gun because no matter what, he would say that's what they want you to have so that they can kill you. Because if you have a gun on you and they kill you, they say you have a gun. It doesn't matter how good you are, how squeaky clean you are.
Philando Castillo had an actual license for his gun, and they still shot his ass.
So that's why I'm that. But that was a narrative painted by me, by my father, where it was like, I see what happens and that's it. Mine was a very family-oriented narrative. Texas has a very statewide narrative. California doesn't have that type of universal narrative because it's so big and it's so diverse. Northern and SoCal are probably your two. Central's lost in the middle. Texas is Texas, from the Panhandle all the way down to
that's not true at all. South of San Antonio is completely different from King of the Hill country.
It's 4 states in one fucking state, so it's totally different.
If you calling me like I'm from East Texas, don't do that.
No, fuck East Texas. East Texas can suck a dick.
But there is a certain unity.
Band members will come on tour and it's going to be like, this is the only city where I can say, hooray Austin, fuck Houston. Like, nobody does that. You don't go to LA and be like, fuck Anaheim. Like, it's not
no. So the only thing in Southern California is what's LA and what isn't. That's the funniest one, where it's like, I'm from the Valley. It's like, that's not LASA, and then they get mad about that. The idea is, though, I haven't been able to, let's be fair now, because tie it all back. The media portrays Texas as a monolith. To be fair, right? Can we assume that? Yeah. So your monolithic expression is already been painted for you guys, and so
gunplay and horses, and you guys have to fight that every day, because I think most Texans are dumb as shit, because I've been fed that lie. I've been fed that lie. Son.
But time out. Let me flip it. Anytime I mention that flag right there, what do you guys say about all the stuff you said?
California.
Exactly. You guys, because California California has its own monolith, and these are things that are developed by the media generally, and then supported by our own stupid tribe mentality that people like to have.
Literally, I consider you one of my best friends.
Yes.
I have another friend that I consider a best friend. Both of you are from California, born and raised. And people I've met from California, I seem to get along with more so than even people I meet in Texas. And it's like, it's that. Like, we have a lot more in common than we don't. But it's this whole narrative of don't California my Texas and all this bullshit.
We all want to be tribal. Tribes are fun.
It's very tribal. It is fun. That's why we like sports.
Exactly.
It's because it's irrational everything, and it's okay.
Right.
It's fine. You can hate this city irrationally for no logical reason. It's perfect.
Marco, I was at your house at the Super Bowl. I was uncharacteristically furious at Tom Brady. Tom Brady, other than being a general asshole and a Trump supporter and an awful person who steals money from small businesses for a yacht,
got a great smile.
Fuck him. No, I can hate him. I can hate him with blind emotion and not care anything. I guess I was saying things about his mama. I was saying about pissing on a statue at the Hall of Fame. It was fun, and people like bleeding into that. And the media, going back to it, allows people to do the same thing and indulge in that. And what do we do with that? I don't know if that's one of your last questions.
To me, and I love that you brought up sports real quick. I love that you brought up sports. That is true because it's starting to bleed into politics. This irrational
team
like thoughts, media and politics. This irrational thing to where like, okay, I know this isn't true. This is totally illogical, but fuck it. Like, hey, Fox News, Newsmax, and OAN says it's okay for me to feel this way.
Right.
So I'm just gonna embrace it.
I'm red.
Fuck it.
I'm the red
It's
team.
irrational. Yeah, it makes zero sense. If I think about it for 5 seconds, it will completely just debunk the whole thing. But you know what? Fuck it. Rally. Let's go. Fuck the liberals. Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, OAN. Trump is president, goddammit. They cheated him. They cheated him. He won. And they cheated him.
When's his new inauguration? When's his new inauguration?
Cut this out and put it on TikTok. That whole rant. But
I'm down.
That's good, yeah. I
just wanted to just go back because this is my final thoughts 30 minutes ago. But
we're still on good on time.
No. I'm joking about how you taking over the conversation. The thing that I was just wanted to focus on and bring light to is just be diligent. It's got to be the right amount of not jumping on your preconceived notions of what's happening in a case or anything. Any Biden says tomorrow this bill or Tucker Carlson says X. Like whatever it is, like I've seen Tucker Carlson be right about stuff.
You didn't say it right, Marco. Say it correctly, please, sir.
What is it, motherfucker? Tucker Carlson?
That bitch.
That bitch. The motherfucker, rat bastard. Any sort of insult works on it.
Anything.
Well,
I just mean in general. If you just understand that it's more than just what the news is, you can always turn the news off. For one, if you're overindulged for the day,
my life is better when it's off. Quite frankly.
Yeah. Two is that you need to take time to make your opinions about stuff. You don't need to be the first person on Twitter to be like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, you can wait for some of the facts to come out. Exactly.
So one thing that you guys, because you guys don't agree with me on the fact that I don't really look on the other side of the aisle to see what they're talking about because I don't fucking like it.
Do.
No, but
I don't. Right. Hey, I never said that. Okay. I don't.
Well, Marcos, I know
it's literally split on the screen like this.
Yeah.
Marcos is probably the most neutral motherfucker here. And he can look at both sides neutrally, yeah.
And me and Marco have gotten into it because he'll talk about, hey, did you see? One time he made me watch Ben Shapiro to see how awful and stupid he was.
Damn.
And all it did was
Ben Shapiro talking about movies.
No, but all it did was make me mad.
It wasn't actually political. It was just this is how dumb this guy is.
Look,
and you
well, hold on, but let me finish the point because as dumb as that was, it still upset me and it wasted my time. I felt I appreciated it, but the idea is my biggest. I guess opening / ability to adjust my fluidity when it comes to my rigidness of consuming news is that I love to update when I'm wrong because I'll see some shit and I'll be like, I'm mad as fuck about that. And then a couple minutes later, they'll clarify or there'll be a new update or there'll be a new fact that we didn't know before. And I'll take that fact in. I go, okay. If I was overtly a jackass about it, I'll come out and say I was wrong. If I had a bias a certain way and it adjusts and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't think that way, then I can move on. Being fluid and being able to change your opinion based off of new information is most key, I think, even beyond where you get your stuff from. Because if you get bad information, you get it from somewhere that you don't necessarily know or it feeds into a bias that you have. Well, if it feeds into a bias that you have. But if you find something that is reputable or factual that you can see and it's tangible and you refuse to update your information.
Don't matter now, Sam.
No, but the thing is that's my plea. Because this is kind of what you would want in the world. Because people are rigid. People want to eat their candy and get the high of being correct. I'm wrong all the time, clearly. So I have to be able to adjust my shut up. You're not saying anything but shut up. But I have to be able to adjust all the time and take the losses as small as they may be, as big as they may be, to make sure that what I'm putting out or what I'm believing at least is in the realm of either truth or at the very least good for humanity. Because I could think something that's bad for humanity that's correct, but there's no point to that. You got to think about what's good for the better of everyone, and you got to find the facts that support it. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time, and you're just a suck on life, and nobody wants it.
You know what? I agree with everything you said.
Of course you do, because I'm brilliant.
Absolutely. No, it's rare. But I totally agree with you. That's the way we should think. And I feel like that's the way we did think at some point, at least maybe slightly. Again, man, I can't emphasize enough the now. People don't give a fuck about fact. They don't give. It's motherfuckers literally living in an alternate reality as we speak that think Trump should be president, that thinks that insurrection that happened at the Capitol, just a little incident. People were a little upset. They were riled up.
Right.
No biggie.
I mean, it's within their constitutional right, Tommy, to fucking storm the Capitol.
Yeah, to break windows and kill cops. It's perfectly fine. If you're a Trump supporter, cool. Great. Fan-fucking-tastic. We can do whatever the goddamn fuck we want, Sammy. If we support Trump, they ain't gonna do shit to us. We can storm the Capitol and they will help us out the goddamn building. But if you're black and you're just walking down the street, we'll fucking attack you. Media or not, we don't care. And we'll spin that shit. Put it in our blender, Sammy.
You think?
Spin it in a way
to,
hey, if you're a nigga, you are dangerous as fuck. Don't trust TJ. Look at him. He's got a bucket hat on. Don't matter if this motherfucker
he says
went to
raw.
college.
You know what raw is backwards? War. He's declared war on the cops. Why are you declaring war on the cops,
dangerous
TJ?
as shit. Look at him. College educated or not.
Look at.
Never been arrested or not. Doesn't goddamn matter. He is the enemy according to that bitch Tucker Carlson. So, that is the spin. If you are white and conservative, you can storm a Capitol, no problem. If you're black, you can't walk down the goddamn street peacefully. That is the hook. If they can spin that kind of shit, we are in a dangerous goddamn spot. That was my end game. You're talking, I mean, the whole point of this whole end portion was how can it work? My opinion, it can't. We are in a dangerous fucking place to where we are teetering on the edge of some shit that we don't even know how it's going to end. Because if we have a point to where the news, fact, if fact is something that doesn't matter, it's done. Like, I don't know how you can fix that. Personally, me, I don't know how you can fix that. Maybe one of you can tell me, because I have no fucking clue.
Well, Tommy, I'll real quick, before I'll let you finish up, TJ, but I just had to say in the chat, I wasn't laughing at you, Tommy, doing your rant, but just Tekro in the chat. Damn.
Hey, man, look.
That's all he said. Damn.
It bothers me, man.
It
bothers me,
you're
bro.
well within your right.
Yeah, it truly bothers me.
Let's pass the ball to TJ for a little bit. He's been here stewing in the corner.
He has. He's been patient.
Looking menacing.
TJ.
Looking menacing.
I know you have to follow me up every time, and I've been terrible about it.
I don't know what I was supposed to say after. y'all know I don't get crunk normally unless it's...
You don't. That's why you're here. You counteract me. We need two black people here because if they look at me, then that's going to fuck up the whole race. TJ, help me out.
I will just say that when one nigga's not yelling and another Hispanic person's not crying, I do have opinions here.
Okay.
Yes, you're the crier. All right, shut up.
He is. He's sensitive. It's okay.
Nah, but for real, I think that in terms of the flow and I don't want to discredit anything anybody said because I the only thing I disagree with you on your point, Sammy, was that what you said that being able to change your opinion is more important. I think they're both equally as important. I do think that it's super important for you to change your opinion, but I also think that neutrality when you're consuming news will help make sure that your original opinion is less volatile in the first place sometimes, just because you're getting different perspectives and alternate news sources. That said, I think that it's harder to accept that your opinion is wrong. And if you're actually fundamentally able to change it, that's a tougher thing to do. And so kudos to whoever can do that. Cause I know sometimes I'm stubborn. I know that.
Right.
That said, right. There's no cure. There's no answer. There's no if, when, or but. This goes back to you're going to hear me say this so much on Mongrel Radio that I just think America is an immature country in comparison to other ones. We have our own unique individual. Not to say that there aren't things amazing about America. I will still say that there are.
Phenomenal country just needs work. That's the issue. A little bit of work.
Shut up.
I'm not, just to interrupt you for 1 second, is I'm really close to putting a mute rule like once in a while. And it's like, TJ, what are your final thoughts? and then you just get interrupted by someone.
I'm sorry. I'll mute myself. I will mute myself. Go for it,
only
TJ. I'm
me.
sorry.
You, Sammy, everyone interrupts me. I have an opinion too, niggas. Now, what I was saying was America's an immature country. And so with that comes a lot of the discrepancies that comes with that, right? I think that there's a lot of information, there's a lot of rationale, there's a lot of points and things that we just aren't built up from the ground up thinking about that other countries and a lot of ethnic, and not I want to say ethnic as if like Europe's not ethnic, right? Because you immediately when you think ethnic, you're thinking like Africa, Asia, right? Something all other cultures kind of do. It's why we glorify guns here. It's why with freedom, when you think of America, when you think of fucking the stars that are behind Marcos, it's why guns go along with that shit. It's why people think that or construe what the Constitution means on freedom to validate whatever the fuck they want to say and want to do. And it's a slippery slope because I don't think the fundamentals. First of all, this country was not built for people who have pigmentation darker than the fucking white stripe behind Marco. So it doesn't really matter. But so that's we're already starting off from there. But I also believe that with those things, if we think about like, hey, like freedom, Constitution, what we're able to say, what we're able to do, all those different interactions, we were able to take that and run with it because there's ain't nobody who's going to tell you stop. That's not how it works. There's nobody who from the ground up will like kind of educate, or excuse me, there's no like systemic way for us to kind of educate on that fundamental principle. Shit, from the case point when you're not reading news, the only news you really have is U.S. and Texas history. If you're in Texas, right, you're going through Texas education system. That's what fundamentally is like your form of news from like when you're 1 through 14 to when you're able to start to be like, I kind of like when the news is playing. I kind of like, I want to read on these articles. It might be a little earlier for some, might be a little later for others, but ultimately we're already being formulated into this systemic sort of fashion in the way that we're thinking and the way that we're operating. And that bleeds into our media. And so that's why that neutrality that I harp on is so important, where reading from different perspectives is so important. Because I genuinely think the only way we can get out is, number one, reading multiple news sources that extend past what just the U.S. says, because I'm super big on what Tommy does, where it's BBC, a lot of other countries explaining what outside looking in, because we're not on an island. There's so many people in it. This is the other thing with America in terms of how we perceive and how we're able to identify sort of different value sets and understanding how the framework can work for different people. In most other countries, I don't want to say all of them, but in most other communities internationally, you're able to, it's a hop, skip, jump in a fucking way to get to another country, especially in Europe. Let's use Europe as an example. You can go over into Germany, see a totally different perspective, right? See a totally different sort of culture. Not like, there's going to be similarities probably on the border towns, but the deeper you go, you can respect that because your country is about the same size as that. Fucking Texas is huge, right? It's the size of 3 countries here, right? And the United States in and of itself is technically 50 different fucking countries. They're all pieced together. And that makes it messy because we start to inbreed in terms of our information. We're not getting exposed to how other areas and other cultures are interpreting our information. Shit, that's why we have such a downplaying look on fucking Mexico. And why, and I don't understand why Canada gets a pass. Oh, yes, I do, because they're white. But
I'm about to say, I got the answer.
But when you think about it's why we have such a downplay on Mexico versus some other countries around the world where you're like, cool, like, hey, they might not like their next door neighbor, but there's other countries around that they can go to and be like, it's cool, right?
Can I say something real quick? I'm sorry. That was literally the GOP was trying to pass a thing to where it was basically a group that celebrated Anglo-Saxon beliefs and whatnot. You remember that? Yeah. So they said in that doctrine that we want to make note that the one border the United States borders. We don't want those beliefs. We want American beliefs. Completely ignoring that Canada also borders America. They only focused on Mexico. They hate Mexicans. Continue.
I mean, it's true. And it's okay. In defense of Canada versus Mexico, Canada's kind of weird. We're like I don't even know much about Canada's government. Like, I know more about Britain, which has influence on Canada's government, than I know about Canada. Like, it's kind of different. It gets out, but it shouldn't get that pass. It's just as much of a country as Mexico is. But like, Mexico is like unapologetically very different in terms of what goes on there versus what happens in America. Hence why it's such like, oh, that's so different. We have to have American beliefs. No. The news is always going to be ever changing, ever fluid. Like, we could be having this conversation 50 years down the line and shit. We'll all be sounding like we're Republicans because the left is just the neutrality meter has just moved so far left that our left is now the right? We don't know what's going to happen in the future in terms of what we're consuming. That said, all those different perspectives, all educating yourself on different outlooks and making sure that you are equipped to make these educated decisions are the only way that we can start to making sure that not only is media not necessarily losing its power, but the power that it has is being facilitated in the proper way. There's no easy way to go about it. There's no right or wrong way. There's only wrong ways, actually, a lot of wrong ways, but they're not that many right ones. But in the grand pantheon of things, and I will probably be like Tommy on the social media one, because that's where I get real crunk. But I'm not gonna front. Like, I'm gonna be cutting on. I'm Marco, shut up! Ah!
We doing it.
Yes, but I do think that in typical media, it is what it is. You deal with the cards you're dealt, and we have to make sure that with the cards we're dealt, we're playing them right. We are blessed to have access. But this is one of the things that America does do right. There's no limitation in access of resources and or educational material and or news that we have that we can present ourselves to. Is it presented in the right way all the times? No. But there's plenty of places that limit what you're able to see and what you're able to do on the internet. And so with that privilege, if you truly want to be American, or if you truly want to ride that ship where media is awesome, then you should be reading all these different perspectives and articles. Don't waste that. We can't afford to waste that, because then we can really put ourselves in a position where America can be a real cool spot. That said, I'm gonna go watch some Fox News after this, next to some Ben and Jerry's. Look at my wall and just think, man, I wish Mexico was separated by something like this, and tuck myself and sleep at night. Those are my views that I'm getting from Fox, probably.
No, it's probably something a little more unsubstantial, like bubblegum made my kids gay. It's probably something even more out of left field.
Here's an overall problem: is that Fox News does skew, but you're confusing it with InfoWars. You're literally putting InfoWars.
What's the fucking difference for some of the shit that they talk about, man?
Look. Let me put it perfectly for y'all. So we had a situation to where we had major stories. There are major issues here: police reform, infrastructure, immigration, all these things. I think everyone here finds all those things important. You know what Fox News covered? Mr. Potato Head now just being Potato Head. Like that kind of shit. Or trans kids fucking playing sports. That's the shit. Fuck it. We're going to just attack children now because we have to do this shit. We have to give them red meat. That's it. That distracts them. They're sharks. They're dumb as fuck. I don't care. I'll say it. They're dumb as shit. They watch it. They fall for the shit. If you fall for it, you're dumb as fuck. So they fall for it. They go to that. Meanwhile, there are real fucking issues here that need attention. They don't care because, hey, Fox News said trans kids don't need to be playing sports. That's the thing. That's the issue. That's the issue.
And,
you have two channels.
And we go further back. We're gonna wrap this up, but pull it back one more layer. The reason why they're dumb as shit is because our education system is trash, which we'll get to on another episode.
We'll do that one too. We got a list of shit on this.
We got a lot to cover, but education is a good place also to understand.
So I would say just as we lightly touch on education, they'll end it off on a lighter note, or not a lighter note, just a more neutral note. America's
You sure you want to do this, TJ?
Yeah, we can get out of here. We can get out of here right now. We're done with this topic. We can wait and save it.
We'll never get to the education topic, but just as a we will one day, but just as a preview.
Preamble.
America's education system is not the most desirable, but that also kind of goes back to the immaturity and freedom part, I do think, where from the ground up, you know what? I'm going to save it. Marco, take us out.
That's it, Marco. RMC.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us here on Mongrel Radio. As we took on the media, we are going to do social media next, I guess. That it just kind of got cyberbullied into that. Ironic.
Yeah.
Do what we tell you, God damn it. Well, Marcos,
join us on Sunday for McGrew's Reviews, where we'll be doing Mortal Kombat, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't know if we have another Tuesday.
That's it.
No, I was about to say, I think Tuesday we have another Scene Countdown.
Yes. Yeah, we do.
And then I think next week is the last episode of Invincible, so I'm pretty sure we have to do that. So.
We
can do that
because I love that show. I spoiled that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Marco.
Well, Marco,
no, you're good. Everything
you,
is great. And if you want to find me, just type JL Marco 62, like it says there on the bottom, into anything, and I'll show up. We're going counterclockwise just because. TJ, where can they find you?
They can find TJ at TJ Manna. I promise I will not yell at you. It's a safe place there. Sammy and Tommy might yell at you, but they're also sweet. Don't let the opinions today fool you. These are great guys. They're just very passionate about this. I mean, and like I said, you're about to see a different side of TJ on this next one.
Good. I want to switch places with you, TJ, because I'm tired of being the angry black man. That's not a stereotype I want.
I don't want that either, but I have to. Hey, now on to you, Tommy. What's up?
Hey, man, Tommy McGrew Art, Instagram. Find me, chat, whatever. I don't care.
You can find me at the Mexcellence on all forms of social media. You can find me shopping at mexverse.com. And if you message me on any of those forms of social media, I will yell exclusively slurs at you. So look out for that. Be careful.
Best way.
Just nothing but
good slurs.
Not racial slurs, just like old-timey ones probably. Like
be sure to
call you trolley trash for you.
Right.
Follow us on News Teat for any updates.
Dude, God. News Teat has the best updates.
Oh, it's coming soon, son. God. I bought it. It's coming soon.
It's like it's like the Onion, except actual. I don't know. Actually, it's the better Onion.
Newsteat.com. Be sure to look out for that coming soon. I don't want it to, but it's coming soon.
Too bad. It is coming soon, whether you want it to or not, son.
Marcos, tell us to go bye-bye, please. Get us out of here.
I thought that was already the perfect outro.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye.